What's up, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. Just want to go over the markets for this week, give you some of the top stocks that I'm going to be watching into this next week. Just kind of going over the overall picture. So, first things first, um, when we're looking at this, we're basically looking at, okay, so seeing, looking at the indexes, you can see we're negative on all five. um, with a negative 36 score out of 100. So that's not a good sign for the market. So overall, we're looking pretty bearish. So QQQ is the best performing one. We just broke the 50 yesterday or on Friday. We're holding support now. Let's check how the futures are doing. They seem to be bouncing at support. Yep. So right now we're sitting at that weekly 21. So if we go to the weekly, we're bouncing right at that 21 EMA and the 20 SMA. And so essentially what I'm looking for is can we hold that level? And if we can hold that level, we can look for a trigger to the upside. But for now, where there's nothing to point towards. We really need to get back above all these moving averages. So we have the 10, the 20, and the 50 all sitting right here. And then we also have the anchored VWAP from this year starting on the 1st. So we've got all this resistance we need to get back above. Until we stay below that, we have to be pretty cautious on longs. And then continue to look for short opportunities. So mainly the short opportunities. I'm not going to be focused on swinging short, like literally. I'm not going to be swinging short mostly. I've day traded short twice last week, and that's what I'll look to continue to do. So on Friday, we went short below 5,900 and caught this move to the downside and sold it into to support. I didn't know it was going to bounce there. I just got lucky with timing the exit, and we got out at 5,856 and was able to catch a pretty nice move to the downside in the morning. And then from there, can go zoom out a little bit. So now we're trading at the previous all-time high level, that psych level of 5850. Okay. So if we break there, we're headed next to 5,800. That's the next key support level. And I would think we would have some buyers or some pressure there. As you can see, we bounced here, we bounced here, we bounced here. So, like Friday, I will be watching for if we can break below uh, this support here, we'll look to short it into the next support level about 50 points lower. So looks like we're making about 50-point legs each time we move lower. So you can see we were kind of holding at support right around, I would call it 5940, and then had that leg move or leg lower to 5,900. And then we had the leg lower to 5850. So as for the NASDAQ, take a look there. That one's holding more so at the 21 EMA, but also we're trading at 21,000. So we lose 21,000. It doesn't look like we have too much support until really about 200 points lower, give or take. So right around that area, I'd really say even probably there, the 700 area where we've previously bounced. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. We'll pay attention to this and keep an eye on it. But as for that, it looks like we're bouncing, but all of these indexes are bearish. If we go look at the YM, this had a pretty clean break on Friday. And now we are trading at that 200 SMA. So you can see here, we had this low acting as support. And then we finally broke that on Friday with some momentum. And looks like it's going to push us down into 42,000. So just a quick about 500-point flush off of this bear flag like pattern. Similar story with IWM. We saw support at 220 broke that support at 220, and now we're back down about $4 after that. But as you can see, the main two things we're paying attention to, and probably the cleanest right now, we've got multiple rejections at 21,000. So we have to pay attention to that level. And then 58.50. So that's your confluence. We can get some volume to break us down into that lower level. Then we can look to short it for continuation out of this consolidation here. Because we are in a weekly squeeze. So, or a daily squeeze, sorry. So we got to watch out for that. Couple other things here. XRP was something that I posted over the weekend that I was looking for. It's getting a nice little pop just now. So this one, we had buy signals last week. I let everyone know to when we were breaking 440 or 240 to pay attention to this. And so up about 2 to 1, got a stop loss at break even at 240. So I'm looking for, can we push up into 270 and then ultimately a new high. So that's what I'm kind of looking for there. But yeah, so clean setup there. Nice inside day yesterday. So let's see. Okay, if we can break, can we push up into a new high this week? So keep an eye on that. Great setup here. You can see we've got this flag pattern forming. Then you can see we've created this flag in a squeeze, and we put in this higher low. And then now I'm seeing, okay, we broke the pivot point here. Can we have a continuation up into the high? Right now, we got decent volume coming in, not compared to this previous run up here, but you can see that on the breakout, we did see higher volume improving, and we've had some good green days there. So that's another thing. Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin can get a lift. Whole lot of resistance right here. But I personally am not interested in this until we break above 100,000. So from there, we're looking at, okay, so SPY, so worst performing index right now is the DIA. You kind of tell that by the chart. But then we've got number one, QQQ. So tech remains the focus if you're going to look to go long. And we'll get into what mega cap stocks look the best going into this week. So number one, we've got number two at IWM. So small caps are doing pretty well. I'll give you a few of those. Four, and the last two slots are DIA and RSP. Internals. Let's flip over to that real quick. So the internals here, you can see rates 10-year is just ripping. We have talked about this, and I told you guys I was bullish or thinking rates were going to head higher. Once 2024 ended, it was looking like it had a setup to push higher once we broke this level here, that 4.5, and we broke that level, consolidated over it, and now just continued to rip. So it looks like we're going to go take out last year's high in the 10-year. So that's that. Put call has corrected itself. Let's make sure this is the correct. Yep. So this has now broken above 0.8. Yep. So it's no longer under 0.7. We've corrected off of that move. So basically, we are free to move as needed, whatever way we need. Typically, what will happen is we'll get a push up into above at least 0.9. You can see here, here, and here. So we'll look for that reading to happen before we start looking for a bottom in the markets, essentially. But we can bottom at any time. It's more of a neutral market at this point. Dollar pushing higher. Nothing too much to say about this one. We've been ripping ever since we had these buy signals. And so the market internals for the market to head lower, everything is pointing towards lower prices. So the dollar, that's going to make it hard. And TNX moving higher makes it hard on interest rates. Um, or sorry, make it hard on tech stocks. So, and then next we've got the VIX trying to break 20. So you can see here we've made had this big push up. Now we're creating higher low, higher low. So we came out, squeeze fired, put in a higher low, put in a higher low, and now we're looking to break out 20, break out of 20. So this tap pattern is starting to get really tight, and it's looking like, okay, we could see a spike here in the next week or two. Um, really is looking bearish for the markets. Like if you're just looking at this stuff here and then also the patterns I've shown you and the indexes and also just the readings from the score sheet, it's not looking too good for the bulls. So basically everything is kind of in favor besides the put call being extended. All of this is looking pretty bearish for the markets. Look, VIX gets over 20, really start to watch out. We pushed up into it yesterday or on Friday, couldn't break it. Now let's continue on here. Um, let's see. So we did go over XRP. It's getting some good volume already today. Okay. So now let's talk about so bearish, right? Bearish to neutral, very bearish. So it's a score of 70% out of 100. That's very bearish. I think that's the worst it's actually been so far. So 43, 48, 15, 28, 61. Okay, so it was pretty bad there, 58. So you can just see it's gotten progressively more bearish the past few days, the past couple of weeks since essentially December 30th, right? So it's continued to get more bearish. Okay. Now looking at the stocks. So number one ranked out of the key names, we've got Meta ranking at 47, which this one I think so TikTok, the whole ban coming up is going to have an effect on, or should have somewhat an effect. So I'm looking for a kind of rally into the news and looking to catch the momentum. I'm looking for if we break 630, we're gonna want to go long. This name does have earnings at the end of the month, but we've got a few weeks. Yeah, this one looks like it can go above 630. So pay attention to that one. We've already got buy signals if you want to be early, but I think this one, yeah, once we break 630 on some volume, look out for higher prices. That 650 level is not far away whatsoever. Okay. So we'll mark that out. And then next on the leaderboard, we've got TSM. This one has earnings, I think, this week. Yep. So I'm gonna have to stay away from this one this week, but this is the next best semiconductor. You can see we broke this key resistance that I've been talking about for months. We broke this, had this huge push up, came back, retested it. So on high volume. So I would be surprised if we end up uh, kind of selling off into earnings, because this seems to be becoming the uh, leading one. So let's check the earnings real quick. So most recent earnings here. So I guess we had a miss, or not a miss, but a decline in the last earnings report. And then from there, we missed on or decline in sales and EPS, but we've had beats on the other ones pretty significantly. So we'll just have to see what this report comes out to be. Then from there, go look at three, Google. So Google's the next one up. So as you can see, and then NVIDIA is the next one up after that. So you can see here, XLC seems to be the theme here, which I've got in the hot topics notes here. And then semiconductors is up next. So like Google, we're looking at this. This is a great looking chart. I am bullish on this just because if you look at this pattern, we're continuing to get tighter and tighter as we trade. So what I'm looking for is if we can break above 200, we should see a pretty nice rally. if we take a second to look at, it's a cup and handle if I've ever seen one. So um, that's a great, great looking setup. So then we go here. 1272 is at 203. So not too much upside. I would say Google or Meta has more of the potential, but okay, let's check this. This has got earnings coming up. So we did have a nice beat on earnings. Last one, we missed the one before, but okay, so overall we're looking good on earnings. So earnings coming up. December 4th or February 4th. So this has got a little more time. I like this setup. I think it's very good looking. Break above 200. We should see a pretty strong rally. I think we will get some some more price action before we end up breaking out, but you can see here we're building higher lows, getting ready to break out. So definitely put that on your radar to potentially go long. I think you could get an early entry above 196.52. And yeah, so 195 you can see is acting a little bit of resistance. NVIDIA, I don't think this chart is neutral, so I don't really want to go over this one. 150 is the level of the break. The rest of it inside of it is just chop. TSM, last. Microsoft, worst performing one right now. This one's a choppy mess. Um, and we're just gonna have to see, okay, is this distribution or accumulation? Okay. So now let's get into this. So now we've got the overall picture, right? You can read these notes here: passenger airlines, drug retail, renewable energy sources. So there's a few of them that I want to show you, especially in the renewable energy. So TLN, this one is a really solid one. I believe it's had great earnings. Huh, maybe not. I'll have to look those up. But past few earnings reports have been pretty solid. You can see high volume on Friday. Um, we're trading above 220. So, and you can see 230 has been acting as a little bit of resistance. So, I think we break that. We can continue higher, but this sector as a whole has been performing or came up in the top theme. So we have to pay attention to that one. Another one that I like is CLS. This one had a monster run. You can see it had this huge run up before here, um, up into $100 or $85. Then we sold off all the way down to like what, $10? And then we've rallied and we've finally broken $100. So this one could probably rip into the earnings report. So keep an eye on that one. We've talked about Google Meta. TSM will probably drop that one for now. Marvel, this is a semiconductor. I do like this chart. It's similar to Meta or Google's. So if you look at this, we're trading sideways, building higher lows. So I think once we break 120, I'm going to look for an entry, just looking for some volume. If we can break above 120, let's look for a rip up into 126 and then potentially 130. So that's another solid looking chart. I've got a lot of names on here, but I'm going to point out the top looking ones in my opinion. So KMT, I told you guys this about this one already. I think this one has a lot of potential, has this range that we've been trading in. So if we can break out of this range, which I believe we already have started, can see those high volume moves. So we had this high volume move up. So we had buyers step in, buyers step in, buyers step in. And then we had this pullback candle, which seemed to be a retest, a little bit of a shakeout on low volume. So I'm looking for, can we reclaim this 200 and then break above this resistance right here at around 91 and with some volume, and I'll buy more here, looking for a move into $100. So that's kind of a longer term trade. A lot of so the financials on this one you can see. And then if we go through, we look at that one. Okay, so these are my more research ones. So a lot of restaurants have been popping up as of recently. So one that I'm watching is Shake Shack. If we can break above 135, I'm looking for an entry to go long. Maybe a safer entry would be around 137.50. So this one above 140, I think should be able to make a pretty good move. All-time highs are here, so we're having a little bit hard time breaking out of that. CRS. This one is a pretty solid looking one. Has earnings coming up, but you can just see here, beautiful trend. Uh, Trading in a stage two. Looks great. Can we break out above here? And if we do, I would love to go long. We're holding. How was that? We got a good bit of resistance right here, but we do have that price target of 200 coming up. So this could probably be a $200 stock before the earnings come out. RH, this one has just looked pretty solid. This one's breaking out of base. So I do like this one. Can check. So the basing pattern we have here, you can see kind of has been topping out at around 400. So as long as we can hold above 400, I would love to trade this to the upside and see, okay, if this is this a stage one breaking out into a stage two? If we zoom out, could very well be the next leg up for this for the stock. You can see a very clear range. We were posting between pretty much 350 to 200, and now we're breaking out. We're above the monthly. I think that's the 50. Uh, we're above the 200. So on the weekly, I think this is a pretty promising setup. You can see volume increasing. And I'm looking for, okay, can we break 220? So if we break 220, look for a move higher. We've got 440, really 450. We break 220, look for 450. That's pretty much it. Keep it simple. So there's that. And then as for ones that have really strong financials, so these ones had killer earnings reports as of recently. MSB, Calm. So these are ones just to keep on your watch list for when they set up. MSB, Calm, TSI or TSSI. So you can see these ones have had huge increases because their earnings have been beating. So the momentum has been showing there. And you can see this one was last year in September was a $16 stock. Now it's at trading at 26. Calm last year. Let's see. When was January last year? Yeah, January last year was $51. It's trading up 100%. So keep an eye on that one. TSSI was a $2 stock. Now it's trading at 12. Um, so these all have had solid financials. So we want to keep an eye on these and see, okay, can we break out to the upside? I'm looking for, can we have a nice breakout and potentially trade higher? So you can take screenshots of these, do reviews of these charts. I believe this is another one of those. Let's see. So this one is high on my watch list next week because we're trading up to that $6 level. If we break above six, we could see a pretty big move to the upside. So keep an eye on that one. So that's all kind of the stocks that I'm watching. I will be teaching all the fundamental stuff and then also what I'm looking for in the breakout strategy. Also, the fundamentals that I'm looking for in a stock to put them on my watch list. I'll be going over all of that in the mentorship, which is taking place next month, about exactly a month away from now. I'm going to link down in the description to reserve your spot. I don't know how many I'm going to be taking just yet, but this is going to be stuff that I've never taught before, completely new. So there's a lot of new stuff and new material in this. So hope to see you guys there. Hope this video helps and you can find some good stocks off this. And I'll see you for the markets this week.